Hi everyone. Welcome to Whispers of Turkish Stars. All the juicy details are in our video, so stay with us until the end, then hit subscribe and share to keep this conversation going. Thank you for being here. Today, we're taking you right onto the set where Erkan, Meriç and Hazal Subaşı faced the press amid a flurry of cameras, curious questions, and a charge in the air you could feel even off-screen. The new project they've thrown themselves into already has fans on alert, and the behind-the-scenes interview we witnessed revealed more than just lines from a script. It showed the careful balance they're striking between ambition, craft, and the kind of chemistry that makes a set buzz. Their conversation unfolded naturally on a day when the crew was running both tight and cheerful, the lights warm and the sound of clapperboards snapping between takes. Erkan, thoughtful and measured, took the lead in describing how he's been choosing his work. He didn't shy away from the fact that he's been selective lately, saying he wants to surprise audiences with a blend of emotional grit and high-stakes momentum. I took this part because the writing is grounded and the character isn't one-dimensional. When you see real motivations and flaws on the page, you feel compelled to build a believable life around them, he said, eyes steady, as if the role had already moved in beneath his skin. You could sense the commitment in the way he carried himself, careful with words but eager about the challenge. At his side, Hazal spoke with that poised sincerity that always draws attention. She admitted this character means more to her than a typical role, because the arc forces her to push past boundaries she's known on camera. She didn't say it for effect, she said it as someone rolling up her sleeves. What keeps me excited is knowing I have to earn every second the audience spends with me, she said. This woman has contradictions and a past that's not easily forgiven. I want to honor that complexity and keep people glued to the story. Our team has a rhythm right now that feels effortless. Everyone pulls in the same direction, and that makes you braver in front of the lens. As the interview deepened, both of them dodged the questions that veered too close to personal matters. It wasn't coldness, it was a quiet line they had both clearly agreed on. They turned the focus back to the series, their preparation, and the shared goal of delivering something that breathes. Erkan mentioned that their work doesn't stop when the slate claps. We talk about scenes even after we've wrapped for the day. Notes, ideas, what landed and what didn't, it's an ongoing exchange, he said. You can feel it in the performances. The scenes become easier to trust, more alive. Hazal nodded and added with a candid smile, we want to give people an experience that's enjoyable and high quality from the first frame to the last. That's the aim. And the atmosphere on set helps. It's supportive, it's warm. You can try things, fail, laugh, and try again. They promised the press that more would be revealed soon, just not yet. Even so, what they didn't say outright only fueled the excitement. When they wrapped the interview and stepped off the marked set carpet, the chatter of journalists followed them, and they answered quick fan questions with a smooth ease, smiles intact. There's still no official date pinned down for the premiere, but confidence among insiders is already spiraling upward. The pairing of Erkan Meriç and Hazal Subaşı, reunited in a story that leans into drama, adrenaline, and unguarded emotion, has the industry buzzing that something big is on the way. For those lucky enough to watch closely, the set was a spectacle on its own. The shadows and lights framed them beautifully, but it was the unforced rhythm between them that stole the show. They would finish a take, the director would call cut, and instead of rushing to their corners, they stayed put, sharing quick thoughts with the crew, trading an inside joke, loosening the air with a laugh before diving back into the storm of their characters. It didn't take long for a few reporters to whisper among themselves, whatever we see on screen will just be an echo of what they're already creating right here. When Erkan spoke about the weight of his character, you could tell he was already living with the man's secrets. Leaning into his headspace isn't simple, he admitted. Understanding his choices is a stretch, which is exactly what makes it worth it. If we can get the audience to feel his heartbeat, follow his thought processes, and breathe with him even when he's wrong, then we've done our job. Hazal's turn came with a glint in her eye. She described the thorny path her character walks, and how that difficulty can be a gift. Tension is part of it, and I want to turn that tension into something the audience can't look away from. Each day I discover something about her that forces me to grow up a bit as an actor. Then came the lighter notes from the set. Between demanding takes, there were moments of pure humanity. Muffled laughter when a prop didn't cooperate, an improvised line that cracked the room open, a shared grin that eased everyone's shoulders. The assistant director, who had been racing a schedule that changes with the wind, paused long enough to tell a group of reporters, "They're absolute pros, no doubt. But off camera, they're just real people, warm, unguarded, and willing to play." That honesty bleeds into what we capture. When the questions drifted back toward personal life, Hazal remained composed, careful. Instead of feeding speculation, she anchored herself once more to what they're building on set. "Our first priority is the work. We're trying to craft a story with care and integrity," she said. "And the energy among our team, our camera crew, sound, everyone, that's our safety net." Erkan followed by peeling back the curtain on how seriously they took preparation. The rehearsals had been rigorous, he revealed, with long sessions devoted to how two people might collide, separate, and meet again in a scene. "The honesty in the interaction is everything," he said. "We worked on it early, in pre-production. We tried different rhythms, unexpected turns, so that what emerges on screen doesn't feel staged. It should feel like life." The press got an intimate look at their off-camera ease that afternoon. The smiles weren't for show. They were the kind that come from a shared language. Their laughter during breaks wasn't staged either. Every time they circled back to the camera, some of that warmth slipped into the takes, lending the material a surprising lightness between storms. Clips from the day began circulating almost immediately, short videos, bursts of photos, the kind of content fans devour. Comments poured in, people marveled at the spark, joking that you could bottle the chemistry and sell it out in minutes. Without spoiling anything, both of them hinted at the shape of the narrative to come. This is not a one-note series. Past choices haunt, inner wounds and loyalties collide, and the heartbeat of the story blurs the borders between danger and intimacy. Erkan spoke about the layers, explaining that they're not interested in leaning on cliches when they can show why people do what they do. "This isn't just about big turns," he said. "It's about tracking how a person thinks, how they choose, what they're afraid to admit. The struggle itself is the story." Hazal lit up when she mentioned the taste of thriller elements threaded through romance and drama. "There will be nights when people hold their breath," she said. "That's the part that excites me, knowing we can push you to the edge and still invite you to care." When filming picked up after the interviews, the mood on set sharpened. You could see the switch as they crossed from themselves into the skins of these characters, shoulders shifting, gazes darker, timing tightened to a wire. Crew members exchanged glances after a particularly tender rehearsal that shed its softness in the next take and turned raw. Even the director, a person not easy to surprise, shook his head with a grin between setups. In a brief statement to the press area, he praised them without flourishes. "What they bring to the scene is not just talent. It's trust. Trust in each other, in the process, in the messy truth of the moment. That trust makes our work faster and more honest." Of course, not everything went according to plan. There was a take where the kind of silence you could feel stretched on a beat too long, and Hazal, deep in the moment, lost a line that had previously landed perfectly. A heartbeat of stillness, then Erkan's quick pivot, he tossed out a playful ad-lib that nudged the entire set into laughter. The tension broke like glass catching golden light. "I get lost sometimes too," he joked later, tone warm. "The magic is figuring it out together and smiling while you do." Those little stumbles, the ones that show the work is alive, were devoured by social media within minutes. Fans replayed the brief clip of their laughter, leaving messages about how joy on set telegraphs to the screen. As the day went on, the duo dove deeper into the inner lives of their roles. Erkan spoke about laying a trail of emotional breadcrumbs, subtle enough not to shout but clear enough to feel. "If we do it right, the audience doesn't need a map," he said. "They'll sense the conflict, where it tightens, where it breathes, where it refuses to let go." Hazal, ice-focused but bright, described the intensity that sometimes sweeps through a scene like a wave you can't stop. "There are moments when you can hear the room hold its breath," she confessed. "That wait can be scary and thrilling at once. You ride it." By late afternoon, when the sun began to lean across the windows of the soundstage and the long day had started to soften, Erkan and Hazal stepped away from the lines and lights to greet a small cluster of fans waiting near the exit. They kept masks of secrecy about the plot, but their warmth never wavered. A few selfies, a couple of signed notes, and a soft promise that soon, very soon, more would be revealed. The set slowly emptied, equipment rolled out with the hush of wheels on painted floors, and whispers about that one emotional scene passed from crew member to crew member like a secret worth keeping. What's ahead might be the most intriguing part. There's a reason the production is keeping the debut date under wraps. It builds anticipation, yes, but it also buys them time to refine the orchestra of their story. Early cuts reportedly carry a crackle. Perspectives that cross and collide, a heartbeat that doesn't settle. People who have seen fragments won't stop talking about how the romantic tension doesn't replace the danger, it sits alongside it, fueling it. The chatter, of course, circles back to the two at the center. It's not just that Erkan, Meriç and Hazal Subaşı look good on camera together. It's that they listen, that they leave room for each other, that their shared history, personal or professional, translates into something palpable without a single off-screen detail needing to be confirmed. And that's the line they held with the press. No private revelations. No bait. Just the promise of a story worth waiting for, built by people who respect what stories can do. Before leaving, they turned back one last time and thanked the journalists for coming. Erkan tipped his chin in that modest way fans know well. Hazal flashed a smile that stayed in her eyes. The cameras lowered, the crew reset for the evening schedule, and the two of them returned to work as if the noise had never existed at all. We'll be here to keep you updated as more unfolds around this production, from the first official trailer to the moment the premiere date drops. Until then, watch how the small moments keep building into something bigger. The way they rehearse past the call sheet, the way laughter slips into scenes and softens sharp edges, the way a single glance can read like a chapter. If today is any indication, the audience is in for a ride that's rich, breathless, and unusually sincere. That's all for now from the set. If you enjoyed being this close to the action, don't forget to subscribe to Whispers of Turkish Stars and share this video with your fellow fans. See you in the next one.